The Ramsey County Board of Commissioners meeting for January 28th is called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Fretham,
Here.
Matas Castillo,
Here.
McDonough,
Here.
McGuire,
Here.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Here.
Carter.
Here. Thank you very much. I am going to call on Commissioner Fretham to take us through our Pledge of Allegiance while the rest of us go on mute. Commissioner Fretham.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Still adjusting to two screens. I appreciate your help with that. We have the agenda of January 26th before us for approval. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you for the motion and second. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Fretham,
Aye.
Matas Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much. The minutes of January 26th are approved, and the minutes of our January 19th meeting are before you, presented for approval. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I heard two voices. We'll take a motion from Commissioner Reinhardt and a second from Commissioner Ortega. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Fretham,
Aye.
Matas Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye. Thank you. The minutes of January 19th are approved, and we have the honor of a couple of awards coming before us this morning. Without further ado, I want to turn to Commissioner McDonough, who will present the first award. Commissioner McDonough.
Thanks, Chair Carter. I'm going to be presenting an Employee Achievement Award to Robert Adney. Robert, hi. Not quite the same as in the chambers, but we'll find a way here to make this special, and thank you for your great work. So, Robert was nominated in the categories of Excellent Job Performance and Performance Beyond the Call of Duty. As a supervisor in Emergency Communication Center, otherwise known as the ECC, he is responsible for the daily flow, staffing, and constant monitoring of emergency situations. Robert does all this while leading projects like the ECC training team and the data focus group, and consistently sees a broader picture when considering policy and protocol changes. He works tirelessly to make sure everyone is in the loop, and his calm demeanor helps neutralize a sometimes chaotic environment. Under Robert's direction, the team has been able to successfully complete several new telecommunicator academies, law academies, fire academies, and data academies. He has reorganized training material and updated outdated materials, helping the overall consistency of the center. This helps Ramsey County stay in compliance with the various agencies we partner with. Robert has invested in the growth of others at the ECC. One of Robert's colleagues who nominated him for this award said, Supervisor Adney has gone above and beyond in regard to investing in my growth and development as not only a trainer, but as a person. He has helped me tremendously in my quest to be a better trainer by not giving up on me for my shortcomings, but instead supplying me with the tools and the knowledge to do better and be better. I'm going to repeat that. That's pretty important there. He has helped me tremendously in my quest to be a better trainer by not giving up on me for my shortcomings, but instead supplying me with the tools and the knowledge to be better and do better. He has been an invaluable source to my success in being a CTO, Certified Training Officer. On behalf of the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners and the Employee Achievement Award selection, I hereby congratulate you and present you with this well-deserved award. Thank you for your excellent job performance and going above and beyond. Robert, I wish I could be there to shake your hand, but a big round of applause for you, and thank you so much for all you do and your commitment to our ECC being one of the best ECCs in the state and even the nation. Thank you. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank
Maybe Robert
you
might
so
say a
much,
few words.
Commissioner McDonough. We are anxious to hear from Robert. I want to be attentive to ensure that we don't mix up the order such as has been planned. I know that there are others on the screen, so I'm going to turn it back to the boardroom to request that we hear from those who are here to honor and from Robert. Congratulations. So let's see. Turning it back to our virtual room and checking in. Robert, are you the first to speak here, or are there others who will chime in ahead? All right, I am just going to ask Robert, and then we'll hear from others, unless I see a little more motion there. Let's go ahead.
Well, thank you so much. I'm very happy and humbled to have been nominated for this award, and you know, we do a lot of good work here at the ECC, and I'm just one of many people who put in a lot of effort every day to making sure that we take care of the things that we need to take care of. I have fabulous people who work with me and for me, and then of course I have wonderful leaders who are able to give us the direction that we need to go to accomplish the things that we need to take care of. So I'm a little speechless here. I'm just very humbled and happy to have received the award. So I think that's all I'll have to say.
Thank you very, very much, Robert. We all applaud your achievement and your performance on behalf of all of Ramsey County, and certainly on behalf of those with whom you work. You're paying attention to the training on policies and procedures so that we can be compliant, so that we can be safe. And that means so much to all of us and to all of your peers with whom you work. Thank you so very much for being in front of us, and we are delighted to be able to present you with this award and recognition from your Ramsey County peers and community. So
Tony, I see Nancy pass from the communication
Is Nancy
center.
raising her hand? Okay. Nancy, thank you. You're down there in my corner. Thank you for being here and for being here also in Robert's corner. Let me give you an opportunity to share some thoughts.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner McDonough. I was having some technical difficulties finding my raise hand button, so I apologize.
Oh.
And Chair Carter, thank you. I just want to echo some comments that have already been made. I mean, I'm very excited to be here today, support and lift up the great leadership ability that Bobby has demonstrated, not only with our supervisory team, but our training team, and also across the board with our certified training officers. I think it says a lot when someone is nominated by someone that you lead. And I think it truly reflects his ability to manage and work super hard with all of the employees that are so dedicated to training our new staff. It is not an easy task. And so congratulations, Bobby, and thank you very much for allowing me just a brief moment to support and lift him up.
Thank you, Nancy, and I'm sorry I didn't see your real hand. I am seeing a couple of virtual hands, just checking in to see if it's okay for commissioners to chime in at this time. I don't see any real hands on the screen right now, and so I'm going to turn to one of our virtual hands, Commissioner Trista Metis-Castillo. Your thoughts, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And Robert, I just want to say congratulations. You know, it's especially exciting to know that we have such great employees, but real leadership often goes unrecognized because you're doing such good work. But, you know, serving on the Metro Emergency Services Board regionally and then the representative on the state board, I often hear about how great Ramsey County is doing. And so it's so awesome to say, like, we're doing well because we have leaders like you, Robert. And it's really going to show. And we're leading, as Commissioner McDonough said, an example statewide and nationally in this area. And so thank you for your work. Thanks for not giving up on those that may have shortcomings, because we know that's how we develop the next leaders in our organization. So just congratulations to you.
Can you hear me? Thank you very much. So it is a pleasure to have been able to share in celebrating this award. And we are blessed enough to have a second also this morning. And I will be calling on Commissioner McGuire for this second award. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me. It is my indeed pleasure to give this second award here. I want to congratulate Robert, but I'm really honored to present this achievement award for Megan Mitchell, who's a social worker in the Permanent Connections Unit of the Ramsey County Social Services Department. So congratulations, Megan. She was nominated for a Ramsey County Employee Achievement Award in the categories of Excellent Job Performance, Performance Beyond the Call of Duty, and Heroic Measures by colleagues Stephanie Wiersma, Christos Jensen, and Catherine Eilers, and members of the Ramsey County Attorney's Office. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Mitchell was informed that a child on her caseload was involved in a serious car crash and had suffered life-threatening injury. Throughout this crisis, Mitchell showed dedication, perseverance, and strength. As the child's legal guardian, she was called on to understand a complex medical situation while also guiding the pre-adoptive family through an extremely emotional time. She spent many hours working with medical professionals and the pre-adoptive family to meet the child's constantly changing medical needs. It was necessary for her to make many difficult decisions regarding the child's care, treatment, and best interests. Mitchell showed poise and grace throughout the entire situation, often working long into the night to complete the work that needed to be done and to support the grieving family. When it became clear the child would not survive, she helped pull together a team of individuals from multiple organizations to complete the adoption of the child and her two siblings before the child passed away. Thanks to her efforts, a process that would normally take months took just 8 hours. She continued to work with Ramsey County, the funeral home, and the family to ensure a memorial service was held to honor the child. Her colleagues describe her as the definition of an exemplary social worker and someone who cares deeply for the children and families she serves with dedication, precision, compassion, and empathy. In summary, the Achievement Award Selection Committee recommends that Megan Mitchell be awarded a Ramsey County Employee Achievement Award in the categories of excellent job performance, performance beyond the call of duty, and heroic measures. Thank you. Congratulations, Megan. Thank you so much for your work.
Indeed, congratulations, Megan. We really appreciate having you here this morning and having the opportunity to honor you for this award as recognized by your area, those who work with you, and as an example, the commitment and dedication, talent and skill of our Ramsey County employees. You stand clearly as that example, and we thank you so much for the work that you have done. I am turning to the screen to see who is here to share, and thank you, Brian. I see your hand for being here to share in presenting this award. Brian.
Thank you, everyone. It's almost too emotional to talk about still today as I think about our experiences through this situation last spring in May. And, you know, the letter says it all, but really Megan's poise and equanimity in a time of really extreme emotion is unparalleled. She had to steal away herself and contain all of her own emotions while working in a timed situation that went down to the last minutes. You know, there were phone calls I had with her at 10:30 at night or midnight about proposed surgeries or other options for this child, and communications with the commissioner at the head of DHS and their team, like on medical choices to sustain life or not of a child. And so through a really difficult moment, days, it's true what was accomplished, and being able to bring forward an adoption at this last hour and bringing her siblings also into it, accomplishing everything in a hospital. Listening to the adoption made me verklempt. I was even now a little bit teary-eyed about it because it was such an event, right? And so being able to center the child and family and keep her focused on all of that is what helped the family, helped actually the county attorneys and all of us through a time period of much unknowns, I guess, you know, and being able to translate all of that information in a way to make it in sound bites that everybody could understand and help along with the decision making was really.
I am seeing Brian frozen and assuming that everyone else is as well. And in the middle of such incredible comments as he is making, Brian, are you back?
Yeah.
Thank you. You were frozen for us for about a moment.
I'm sorry. I'm just was saying, like, it was an honor to be part of this unit and to go through this together with Megan and this family. And it represents the hard work of creating permanency. And it was a blessing, and it was make our jobs and our work something that I'm really proud of. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Megan. You know, there were a lot of hands being clapped at the reading of the award. And as you look to it and see being put into words the work that you did from your heart, it is just pretty amazing. You know, I think that has been said already, but I think it's rare that we realize the work that is being done, such as it is exemplified in this write-up, is not just task work. You know, it's not just duties, but it really is work from your heart. And it is about being a part of a family together with this child and with the adoptive family in the way in which you have performed, and that is written, but we can't really quite understand and touch. And thank you so very, very much. Once again, from the bottom of all of our hearts, I saw a hand raised, and I want to recognize
Grant Butler, Commissioner Carter. Yeah.
Thank you, Grant. Let me call on Grant.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan's supervisor in the Adoption Guardianship Unit, and I'll be very quick, but really the letter from the County Attorney Office does summarize as well as what Brian said, but I want to say that Megan's focus on client service goes beyond just this incident that took place. And with Brian, I happened to be talking about this situation with a friend of mine, just kind of thinking about my week and what was happening. And I got a chance to talk about Megan and how awesome it is to be able to come to a county board meeting and recognize a staff that works in the Adoption Guardianship Unit. And I also found myself choked up even last night, recapping this story of what took place a year ago. And I just want to say that this is not just Megan's focus on her work is not just what happened a year ago. It's every day with every client. And really, she exemplifies what a social worker does, putting clients first and thinking about them and thinking about their needs. And it's truly an honor to have her in our unit to be able to talk with and think about how she's working cases and using her as a resource for other staff to learn from. So congratulations, Megan. It's wonderful to see good staff get recognized, especially in this setting here. And I'm very happy for you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for all that has been said. And I want to turn to Megan. Megan, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I certainly first just want to say thank you. It's been such an unexpected honor to be kind of recognized in this way. So probably don't quite have the words for that. But probably more than anything, my thought when I was notified that I had been graciously nominated was this is not something that I could have gotten through or could have had the accomplishment we had in the end without the team of people that I had. Certainly my coworkers, absolutely my supervisor Grant and Brian, the county attorney's office, DHS. It was such a large team of people that made this really possible to get through and to sort of have this, to do the best that we could by this family. This little girl that we lost was a wonderful teenager, and I had seen her make such incredible progress. And so much of that is due to the credit of the family that she was, in the end, still adopted into. And being able to be a part of allowing those three siblings to still be adopted together is certainly something I will never forget and something I could not have, again, accomplished on my own. So I want to say thank you certainly for the recognition, but also to those people that made that possible, because it certainly was not, it was not an individual effort by any means. So thank you.
And thank you once again. Lots of hand clapping going on at this time in recognition and celebration of your work on behalf of Ramsey County, on behalf of, and of course, with your team, and on behalf of all of our residents. Thank you once again. Congratulations. Well, that's always a fun thing to do, and it does remind us of the work that goes on every day, regardless of what department we may be talking about, and the manner in which employees in Ramsey County put themselves forward in incredible commitment with compassion, energy, expertise, and urgency to address the needs in our community. And with that, we have before us on the agenda next our COVID update. I'll turn to County Manager O'Connor for the update.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members, and thank you for all the great words that accompanied today's 2 Employee Achievement Awards. I'd like to turn it over to Deputy County Manager Kathy Hadeen, Director of Public Health, and Deputy County Manager Kathy Hadeen to kick off the COVID-19 update. We're going to focus today on vaccinations, as that remains a key topic with the public and with the board, and we want to spend some time on it. Thank you.
Thank you, County Manager O'Connor, and thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. As County Manager O'Connor said, today we'll review vaccines, but first we will give a current COVID-19 data dashboard update. Incident Commander Laura Anderson and Medical Director Lynn Ogawa are here to review current vaccine information, what phase we're in, and review the statewide vaccine pilot sites for 65 plus, as well as early childhood to K-12 education staff and childcare staff. And finally, we'll have Communications Director John Sigvaland walk us through our updated ramseycounty.us/coronavirus website to highlight where you can find vaccine information. So we will move over to our data dashboard and go through that information. In Minnesota, in total, 455,783 people have been confirmed positive for COVID-19. That's an average of 1,300 people testing positive each day over the last 2 weeks. There have been 23,932 people hospitalized to date, with 543 hospitalized as of yesterday. That's down from 2 weeks ago, and 4,974 people who have been in the ICU, with 104 in the ICU, also down from a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, we have lost 6,098 people, which is an additional 387 lives lost in the last 2 weeks. We will move over to our Ramsey County dashboard. There you will see that we have 40,695 people who have been confirmed positive to date, with 732 people who have lost their lives to COVID-19. Unfortunately, that was an additional 25 lives lost in the last couple of weeks. You will see we have a new area there with vaccine dosage information. 23,577 people have been vaccinated in Ramsey County, and we will dive into that a little bit more shortly. If we scroll down and look at the testing information, the amount of people taking COVID tests are down from previous weeks. As students return to school, we do encourage you to get tested, you and your families, at the River Center saliva testing site if you've been exposed to someone with COVID, and or if you have COVID-19 symptoms of cough, shortness of breath, fatigue, muscle aches, headaches, sore throat, congestions, or any of the other symptoms that are listed on our COVID-19 health information page. You also can go get tested if you are just wondering if you have COVID as well. You don't have to have symptoms. If we move over, our case rate is up a little from 2 weeks ago in Ramsey County, now at 19.6 cases per 10,000 residents, as is our positivity rate, which is now sitting at 5.8%. Let's move down to the demographic area. I do want to remind everyone that COVID-19 continues to disproportionately affect American Indian, Asian, Black, and Latinx populations when compared to overall percentage of the population, and are overrepresented among people with COVID-19 compared to the white population. This is why it's important that all of us continue to wear masks, social distance, pay attention to symptoms, and get tested when available, get a vaccine. I will now ask that Public Health Incident Commander Laura Anderson and Medical Director Dr. Lynn Ogawa approach the podium for a vaccine update.
Good morning, Chair Carter, Commissioners. Very happy to be here this morning and to share a little bit more information on where we are with vaccine distribution in Ramsey County. The last time I was here, I think we were on week 2 of distribution. We are now officially wrapping up week 4. We were able to implement strike teams last week, and I think that you'll see a little bit later as we move through the numbers. You'll see a pronounced jump in our ability to distribute vaccine based on those smaller teams that we've set up. Those teams are responsible for vaccinating in congregate settings primarily, group homes, other places where it can be difficult for individuals to come to a mass vaccination center and receive that life-saving vaccine. We are also, of course, expanding our clinical footprint in conjunction with local municipalities. We have completed site visits for a number of larger facilities in our community, including schools and rec centers. We are extraordinarily grateful for the Commissioner Malcolm's decision to allow EMTs to support us at these max vaccine clinics. That will really enhance our ability to provide vaccine in a timely manner. We've also been able to contract externally with a number of partners, again, to support vaccine at smaller congregate settings. We recognize that we aren't the only provider in play here, and I think that's important to emphasize here today. Of course, our local hospitals have received allocations for their healthcare staff. They are also beginning to support us with vaccination for unaffiliated clinical partners. Our colleagues at the Metro Healthcare Coalition are developing a plan to support second dose for individuals who have received their first dose outside of Minnesota. In addition, pharmacies and private healthcare are beginning to vaccinate individuals over the age of 75. I'm sure you saw the Pioneer Press article about that. MDH's pilot mass vaccination sites are in full swing. Those include drive-through as well as walk-up. And we are pleased to announce that St. Paul will be able to host a vaccine site as soon as this Thursday at the Roy Wilkins Auditorium. That vaccine has been allocated specifically, as Kathy mentioned, to folks K through 12 as well as early child care providers. Finally, we are working directly with our MDH partners to expand redistribution agreements to include local universities as well as institutes of higher learning. We do know very clearly that we have smaller healthcare entities who are still waiting for their vaccine. We have congregate settings who continue to wait, and we need to ramp up and meet their needs as timely as possible. I'm going to cede the podium now to my colleague, Dr. Ogawa. She's going to share a little bit more information about our outreach with schools.
Thank you, Incident Commander Laura Anderson, and Madam Chair, Commissioners. As Laura noted, our work in redistribution now involves higher education as well as local pharmacies that serve our BIPOC communities. We consider this an exceptionally important part of our work to reach residents who do not have access to typical healthcare providers. Typical healthcare providers still are not don't have large numbers of vaccines to distribute either. We feel this may be a more comfortable, and actually in many settings, a much more comfortable connection for communities as they see their pharmacy providers on at least a monthly basis, as opposed to sometimes not seeing their regular providers or primary care providers. We're also working closely with the research team to host a series of community conversations. More than 11 are planned. It's going to be adding to my Zoom portfolio. But it's, I think, a wonderful way of reaching communities and answering questions specific to those communities. When we know that as vaccine becomes available, we want our community members comfortable with accepting and getting that vaccine. And we know we have we have a way to go with some communities, whereas other communities are more ready and willing right now. Our conversations with schools have also led to significant capacity building. We know our school nurses are ready and to deliver vaccines to their staff that is not going to be able to be reached at the Roy Wilkins Auditorium over the next week at the Mass sites. I heard earlier today that while there will be 15,000 vaccines available today, there's over 200 to 300 staff doing K through 12 education, and so we know that there'll still be a number of vaccines needed. I'm going to be turning it back over to Incident Commander Laura to finish out some of our conversations, but available for questions afterwards.
Thanks, Lynn. I thought it would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the change in federal administration and what that allows us to achieve. I assume many of you have had the opportunity to review Biden's plan President Biden's new plan around COVID-19. And I think we are really at the cusp here of some positive changes. Federal partners at the CDC are moving to update some materials associated with distribution for the vaccines that we currently have an EUA for. I think those are pragmatic, good decisions which will allow more people to receive vaccine again in a timely manner. I think that our current federal administration's push toward emergency paid leave will also have a huge impact on our residents' ability to stay home and stay safe throughout their isolation period. I am grateful to see that in writing. I'm also pleased to see a push toward making COVID-19 treatment free of charge. Along with free access to testing or free vaccine, we need to have treatments free of charge to our residents who do test positive. There's additional indication that we will be utilizing members of the Department of Defense, of course, to support distribution efforts. And I think that is also necessary at this time. We need to move that distribution of vaccine here in our community, and I think being able to access military professionals may also help us. So that's the update that I have for you today. I think we will be now passing it off to Communications Director John Sigfeland to share some detail on vaccine on our web pages.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm John Sigfeland, the Director of Communications and Public Relations here at Ramsey County. Just getting the computer set up here. I'd like to take you on a quick virtual tour of some of the work we've been doing in communications to reset the way that we have structured our pages to really put an emphasis on the vaccine. So I'll start with our homepage here. Right at the top of the homepage, we've got, if I could ask our partners at St. Paul, thank you so much, to go to the website here. So right at the top of the page is this red banner. We've had this activated throughout the pandemic. We're now drawing attention specifically to the vaccine with that. That's one way that our visitors can click into this information. Here's COVID-19 info, another way people can click in. Right here under popular topics, there are some other ways that people can click in, and then we have stories as well. So a number of different ways to access this information from our homepage. I'm going to choose this one. So then we go to this page, which is also available at ramseycounty.us/coronavirus. This is the URL that we've been using for this page since last March. You might notice that we've redesigned it to put this real emphasis on vaccine here. And so in this capsule or this content box here around vaccine, we've got our main link, which I'll take you through in just a minute, and then some direct links to fact sheets and resources in multiple languages that are easily accessible right from this page here. Then we have our health information, as we've had before, accessing county services during the pandemic, and the other content areas we have here, just reorganized on this page. So then if we click through to this, so here's our main vaccine page. This is also available just by typing into the browser ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine. This is a main page that we're updating this, it turns out, several times a day as we're getting developments. And our goal here overall for our website is to have this be the trusted resource for any visitors, knowing that they can come here to get the most up-to-date information about the vaccine as it pertains to Ramsey County. We're also sharing information from the state and other partners, but this is our home base, so to speak. So on this page, you'll see some content, just our primary messages, moving through to a subscription to a new newsletter that I'll show you in a minute. Here's a timeline with a graphic that explains those phases that we've heard about. Here's some information about those pilot clinics that Laura Anderson was telling us about. And then various other resources down here at the bottom of the page. Scrolling back up here, I want to show you a subpage. This is a summary of COVID-19 vaccinations in Ramsey County by week. So this explains that our public health department what is an active distributor and provides vaccines to people, both our staff and the volunteers and others that they train. This table shows us how many doses have we received, how many clinics have our staff held, how many vaccinators have been trained, first doses given, the phases, and then the audiences that have received those doses. So as we heard from Laura and Dr. Ogawa, there are many more doses coming into Ramsey County that healthcare providers and others are giving. This is specific, however, to those people who want to know what our public health department is doing as far as giving vaccinations on this weekly basis. So I'm going to go back to that vaccine page. And then I mentioned that e-newsletter. So part of what we're doing is driving people to this changing content on our website through our e-news subscriptions, through our social media channels, through our partners, through conversations with others, to bring them straight to this site. This is the first edition of the e-newsletter that we issued yesterday, specifically on vaccines, and this is a general update. Anyone can sign up for this on that page at ramseycounty.us/COVID-vaccine. And this provides all of the information. We will issue this on an on-demand basis as long as we have information to share. That accompanies our, let me say this is another on-demand communication sent specifically to our partners about this. This was sent last week from the communications folks who work with our public health team. These both augment our regular COVID-19 update e-news that we have been issuing since last March with health information that also includes information on vaccines. You'll see a lot of the same elements that I showed you on the website in these e-newsletters. Then I'll pivot to social media. Here's just a look at our Twitter page. You can see that we've pinned the vaccine information at the top of the page. If we go through our feed, you'll see many resources in multiple languages around COVID-19 and vaccines. They're here specifically. We've introduced and are promoting some new specific sites in particular languages. So this one, for instance, is ramseycounty.us/COVID Somali, and this brings viewers specifically to those resources in Somali. And then here's a look at our Facebook page as well, with the COVID information pinned to the top. So this is all information that we are sharing with our partners, with our audiences throughout the county. We have the news media, of course, that follow us on these channels, and many in our organizational partners and other residents and businesses throughout the county. And we're also sharing information with our employees. So for instance, today's message from the county manager is going to be about these efforts and encouraging our employees to stay current, to help us get the word out among their own networks. And that's one of the final aspects I just wanted to touch on. With half of our thousands of employees living in Ramsey County, they are an invaluable resource to help us share on their networks what we're doing. So with that, happy to stand for questions.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we'll wrap up our piece of the vaccination update, the COVID-19 update, which has become the vaccination update specifically this week and probably for many weeks forward, with the following 3 points. I think one of the pieces, and I'll see if we can work on posting this as we go forward, the question that could come up is how many vaccines do we have on hand relative to how many are we deploying this week? And the answer is we have 2,000 and we're deploying 2,000. So all have been pre-allocated and are going out, and that's a number that we'll try and update as we go forward. So there's no held in reserve going on here. I got some questions yesterday about the lottery through which seniors 65 and older can sign up via different means. That information's been changing over the week. There's an article in the Star Tribune, for example, you could read about today about the registration that opened early this morning and lasts for approximately 24 hours to be able to register to be a part of a lottery at various locations. That is all being run through the Minnesota Department of Health. So while we are tracking that work, it's not Ramsey County specifically leading it. We could try and answer questions if you have them or get that information for you. And then I just want to end by thanking staff across the county that while vaccinations have been bumped to becoming like the focus of the work, and understandably in many ways, it's not all the work going on related to COVID-19. Testing remains important. There was a new strain found in Minnesota for the first time just yesterday. And as the virus has had variants that have proven to be more transmissible or more aggressively transmissible, our need to continue to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 through our work with public health staff, through testing, through property management, through all the other areas of our organization that are involved is paramount to a successful vaccine rollout and ensuring as an effective response as possible. With that, Madam Chair, I will stand with the rest of the team for questions, and thanks to everyone who presented today.
Thank you very much for such a great amount of information today, and particularly for sharing with us the updates that have happened on our website. I'm looking to see if there are questions or comments from commissioners. I know we have a number of things on our agenda left to go, and this has been a very good update. I do have a question from Commissioner McGuire, and we will move through the questions and on into our agenda. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, everyone, for this great update. I know the public is anxious to hear all of this information, and so I'm glad to see the website giving information. And I was on a town hall meeting with our legislators on Saturday, and a number of questions came up about, the number of doses that we get and how much are being released. And so I appreciate County Manager mentioning at the end here that we had 2,000, we were releasing 2,000. But then I have a question about on our dashboard. I thought I saw where we had received 5,000, but we're only releasing 2,000. So on the dashboard, I just am curious what that's showing versus what we just heard. So maybe we could just get some clarification on that. And then I also have a question about the St. Paul vaccine site with teachers K-12. I just want some clarification on if that's, are teachers going to leave their teaching to go get the vaccine, or they're going to take a day off to do it? I'm just curious how that's going to work. And is that after the public health officials have all gotten theirs? I'm just sort of curious about the order of things. And I am all for having teachers get the vaccine. Let me tell you, I absolutely want them to get it. So, but I was just curious on if they're now starting to vaccinate teachers. Are we done with the healthcare workers? There was just some confusion about what I'd heard about those things.
Commissioner McGuire, Chair Carter,
yes.
I will go ahead and start with your first question, and then I'll attend to the others. So we are currently showing on our vaccine page projected vaccine we are predicting to have received as of next Tuesday, and then we push out our planning approximately 2 weeks in the future. So I think that's why you're seeing that disconnect between the numbers received and allocated. I'm happy to look into that with our communication staff and see if there's another way that we can visibly share that information that it makes more sense to constituents who also have that interest. With regards to school nurses and their ability to take time off in order to receive the vaccine, I'm actually going to ask if our Deputy County Manager, do you have any insight onto that? My understanding is that at least from the public health level as well as from our municipal partner level, we certainly want folks to have paid time available in order to receive that vaccine. So I'm not entirely sure if I can speak to the employer question.
Yeah, Madam Chair and Commissioner McGuire, it's a good question, and I think we'd have to look to the schools to get a good understanding of how they're working through this process. Each school district has a process of making sure that they have vaccines that have been allocated to that district, allocated to specific staff. So I don't have a lot of details on that. And I do believe you asked a question too about, who decides the order of who gets a vaccine. And I wish I had the magic wand answer for that. Our governor, as you know, highlights updates for all of us as we receive them. And it is important right now to get children back into school. They are tough decisions because there are so many important things that need to be happening. You know, we've got child protection staff, we've got WIC staff, we've got staff within our correctional facilities who all also perform very important roles in our communities that also need and deserve vaccination. So we're all working through this the best we can with the guidance that we are provided through our state.
And Madam Chair, if I could just follow up, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, and I appreciate that reminder that this really is something that the state is leading on, and we are, you know, doing the best we can to work with what they're giving us, and I really do appreciate that. And I know this is also a state issue, but if you can shed any light, like a question that came up at the town hall meeting was, you know, people hear from other states, you know, that they've already done all of their health, you know, their senior complexes, and now they're moving on to all their schools. And, you know, so certain states it feels like are faster than Minnesota, and this is not a county issue, I know, but do you have any insight into how some states look like they're doing things faster than Minnesota? And I pride ourselves in Minnesota that we are doing it the right way and we're doing it as fast as we can. But do you have any insight into how that happens?
Madam Chair and Commissioners, Commissioner McGuire, I'd sort of like to take this one. Previously when we were here and we were talking about how when we began this process, we felt as though this could be linear and it would be really nice, and we would have all of the vaccines to do 1A and all of the vaccines to do 1B and all of the vaccines and so forth. What we found is that the number of vaccines is not matched in any way, shape, or form. Not only those populations, but specifically those populations in certain areas. And so it's been really difficult to compare ourselves across counties, states, and all of those sites and say one group is doing it well and one group is doing it poorly. There's so many factors that come into play with the distribution that it's difficult. So I would speak to the fact that, again, we're each doing sort of linear work in parallel. And sometimes what happens is then some lines go faster and some lines go slower because of the volume that needs to be distributed. So that would be the way that I would present that.
And I just really appreciate that response. Thank you so much. As usual, Dr. Ogawa, you're responding in a way that I think helps people understand. At least, you know, everyone wants it to be faster, but at least if we have some understanding of why it's happening differently in different places. So thank you for that. And thank you all for all your work. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner McGuire. I have a couple more hands up, and I'll call on Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to let staff know, public health staff, communication staff, just how impressed I am with how we are trying to get more information out. I know last week we talked a lot about people just not knowing and that making it more difficult. And I do know that we're getting information at different times. Sometimes, you know, the governor makes an announcement and we hear it through the media. So there's a lot of information that's out there, but I'm just very impressed with how we were able to, you know, in every aspect that we could get that information out, and not being afraid to say, hey, we don't know certain aspects of this, but we're going to get as much as we can. I also appreciate what is happening at the federal level. President Biden and his plan, it's not only for vaccinations, but it's also for the economic recovery, for the healthcare industry, for the education industry. I mean, it's pretty broad and comprehensive, but well thought out. And so it gives me hope as far as getting this all taken care of and getting to the other side of this with valuable lessons learned as we have gone along. But it's nice to have hope again. Thank you.
I thought I had another hand, but I believe that the questions have been answered, the comments have been made as necessary. And once again, thank you very much for this update on our COVID environment, our response and circumstances. I'm just going to check back quickly with the county manager to see if there are any closing statements, and we will then be in a place to move on. County Manager O'Connor.
Thanks to Deputy County Manager Hadeen, Dr. Ogawa, Deputy Director, Division Director, Incident Manager Anderson, and Communications Director Sickfulin. Somewhere in there I got a title right. I just appreciate all the work that's gone on since last week. Please continue to give us thoughts and ways to improve as we go. And operationally on the ground, I pledge that we'll do the same thing. It's in the communications and the operations coming together that we can be successful in our deployment and rollout.
Thank you very, very much again. And this is certainly a large part of our work. It's not all of the work, but it is embedded in Ramsey County's work at this point in time. We appreciate the specific COVID update and the acknowledgement of where we are and where we're going and how we're getting there. I do want to, at this point, ask that in our tradition of our board meetings since the start of our responding to COVID in Ramsey County, that we take this moment just simply as a moment of silence, actually as a moment in which we can each take a breath and prepare as we move on to the rest of our agenda. So in this mindfulness moment, let's reflect on all that we've been through with our COVID-19, the people that we've lost, the circumstances of our businesses and community, and our hope in working together for recovery that benefits our health, our economic circumstances, our community, and helps us then to build back better. A moment of silence. Thank you. I hope you were all able to take a few cleansing breaths as we move on into our administrative items. I will call on Commissioner Fretham to take us through the administrative items. Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you, Chair Carter. I'd like to move item 4, Community and Economic Development Real Estate.
Hold that.
Great. I'd like to move item 5, 2021 Capital Improvement Program Bond Sale. I'd like to move item 6, 2021 Solid Waste Facility Bond Sale date.
Thank you very much. Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on items 5 and 6, which have been moved forward? There being no discussion, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll for items 5 and 6.
Fretham.
Aye.
Mattis Castillo.
Aye.
McDonough.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Carter.
Aye. Thank you. 5 and 6 have moved forward. And I'm at item number 4, Community and Economic Development Real Estate Projects, River's Edge, Boys Totem Town Site, Ponds at Battle Creek, and disposition support of 3454 Rice Street in Fatness Heights. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Thank you. There is a motion, and I did hear a second, I believe, also, from Commissioner McDonough for the first and Commissioner Reinhardt for the second, I believe. Thank you. So there is a motion and a second, and I have pulled this item because as I looked at it and realized that it's coming before us today to make some decisions about giving capacity to project implementation activities. We've talked about these projects over time. I looked at the item initially and as it was being placed on the agenda went, what's 3454 Rice Street? And although, you know, we can recall the work that is being done, it seems like a good time to just ask for a public summary here of the work we are preparing to do in these projects. And so I had asked if we could have a small update this morning. I hope that there is someone in the chambers to provide that. I'll call on County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. We have Josh Olson here virtually with all of you on the line to describe the overall request for board action and some of the interplay between the various projects and the need for continued flexibility and how we'll keep the board apprised as we go through the year. Josh?
Thank you, Josh.
Hey, thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners, and County Manager O'Connor. What I thought I would do, and I'll start by saying this request has some similarities to past requests that we had, which are much more one-off, related to singular projects, and that this one is much more of a bundling of requests for all of these projects. What we laid out a little bit in the board action was kind of an outline of project implementation support activities for each of these projects. We will be coming back to you all on February 16th in a much more in-depth workshop setting for all of these projects. I know there's a couple highlights in here as the projects themselves have maybe some near-term things that are happening that I wanted to call out. Specifically the Maplewood properties, also known as the ponds at Battle Creek. There is, I won't get into the details of the project per se, the specifications, but the city and the county are hosting a second community forum this Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. More project details will be made available then, and we will obviously provide you all with a much more in-depth update on that community forum, as well as the activities of that project on February 16th. The other one I wanted to, and Commissioner Carter, Chair Carter, you noted the disposition support of a project on Rice Street. This one is kind of a new addition into our portfolio, and I would say it's very different than the other ones. A small property, it's not big like the other three, but it is a project that Public Works, as well as our colleagues in property management, are kind of looking at. It was a kind of a parcel that was created through the construction of the interchange of 694 and Rice. And so we will be having CD staff, Public Works staff, and property management staff will be discussing kind of a move forward, as well as kind of some near-term activities with the staff at Vadnais Heights later this week. So this by no means I think the request for some support resources, this is the smallest of them all for a variety of reasons. The focus is certainly on River's Edge, on the Maplewood properties and Boys Town Town moving forward. I think that's it for now. Again, we look forward to giving you a much more in-depth update on all of these projects, including Rice Creek Commons, on February 16th.
Thank you very much, Josh, for that overview. I'll call on Commissioner Reinhardt.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I actually didn't have myself on mute there because I was prepared for that. Anyhow, I want to, and I'm trying to pull this up so that I could make sure that I'm doing it correctly. I guess first of all, Madam Chair, I wasn't the one that seconded, and I realized that I was on, when you asked that question, that I was on mute. So I'm not sure who did second it, but I did not. And I really do have a problem with this being listed as ponds at Battle Creek. That's not what it is. That is part of it. But one of the problems that we are having, even in the communication and outreach, is the fact that people think that that's all it's about, and that there are other opportunities within Maplewood in that location, in fact, that can be part of this, that are part of this. And so trying to get people to think beyond just a golf course, and I don't say that lightly, but is difficult enough. But to have our documentation continuing to refer to it as the ponds at Battle Creek really doesn't do it justice. And so I would respectfully request that this documentation, and from here forward, and even on our website, it says that the meeting on Wednesday night is about the ponds of Battle Creek. We need to stop doing that as we move forward with this, because there are many opportunities there, including that. But, you know, we say one thing and then we put it in writing in another way. And so I'm very disturbed by that, and it's time that we actually do what we said we were going to do and refer to it as the parcels in South Maplewood. And because we've got two parcels, there's some options there. I mean, we've heard from the Audubon Society and environmental groups. We've heard from housing. We've heard from people that want to run the golf course. We've heard from a number of different folks, so we know there's a lot of interest here. And once we get the community engagement complete, I think we're going to have some real options to deal with it. But it's not about the golf course only. It is about what do we want to do in our parks vision, in what we do with properties that we have for sale, and how do we deal with them so that we get away from the doing little parts of little projects at one time, because it takes away the focus from our overall vision. And as you know, that I am very supportive of the vision for Ramsey County and how we move forward. But we don't do ourselves any favors when we say don't pigeonhole us and then we do it ourselves. So I want that language changed.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Reinhardt. And we'll take your concern in that regard as momentum to ensure that we are far more deliberate as we list these items on our agendas, and that we do have the big picture. I do see a question coming from someone else, but I want to make sure.
Well, just complete. One moment though. I want to have the resolution changed, or I will not vote for it.
So is that a motion, Commissioner Reinhardt?
To amend.
Okay.
To amend.
All right, you're very effective in stating your motions. I won't try to state it for you. Would you please state the complete motion?
Okay. Oh, shoot.
I'll come back to you. Would that be all right?
Madam Chair?
Yes, because I have to get to the part that's the actual resolution. Okay, thank you.
I'll go to Commissioner McGuire, and thank you. We'll come back.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and maybe mine can be part of the motion, but I'm in the spirit of having our labeling, reflect what we want to say. I'm curious, is 3454 Rice Street, is that actually a building? I mean, I was curious about, I was looking it up. I know that it's the intersection of 694 and Rice Street, that whole area. So did we just have to label it something, or is 3454, what is, it looks like we're supporting a building there. And so I would say that if it's an area, we should maybe say the area, not that. Anyway, I'm trying to think of where that is.
Let me just ask Josh to come back up and refresh our memories with respect to the work that we're doing at 3454 Rice Street.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner McGuire. This is a particular address property. As part of the reconstruction or construction of the interchange, the county purchased a service station or a gasoline station, and it's about 3/4 of an acre of a property, but it is a singular parcel. And so right now we don't have a name, it's just its address at this point.
Okay, I do remember that gas station, so that's that spot. And but we're kind of looking at the whole area, but we think it's okay to just identify that one area. But that's mainly what you're worried about, is that one area, right? That one gas station. Okay.
Madam Chair, Commissioner McGuire, yes. For purposes of right now, it's disposition support of that particular parcel. We will have greater conversations with Vadnais Heights staff regarding a larger redevelopment area if that is what they're looking at. But at this point, it's just for that particular parcel.
Thank you.
And adjacent parcels that might be owned by public owners.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, County Manager O'Connor.
If it would be helpful, Madam Chair, I would suggest one thing for consideration during the piece of the crafting of the motion. On the actual projects and initiatives page on Ramsey County's website, it is listed as the Maplewood Properties Site Planning. And somehow here we have inconsistent language, as Commissioner Reinhardt has referenced. And so if it pleases the commissioner making the motion, we could use consistent language to what the projects and initiatives read, which would be Maplewood Properties Site Planning. And we could strike the existing references in the RBA and the calendar piece to the ponds at Battle Creek.
Thank you very much, County Manager. I am going to turn to Commissioner Reinhardt as we craft the amendment to this item. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Madam Chair, I appreciate County Manager O'Connor's language. I actually cannot find a resolution in this packet. So I can find the documentation asking for board action, but I couldn't find the resolution. So I will assume that the amendment will simply be repeating what County Manager O'Connor stated.
All right.
And I would move that.
All right. Okay, and I am going to have to go back and correct the record with our clerk on the first motion that was seconded. Let me make sure I hear who seconded this motion.
I did.
All right, thank you. So we have the motion and the second, and we are in discussion on item number 1 and the amendment to change the heading for item number 1, or the topic for item number 1, as has been indicated by County Manager O'Connor, to Maplewood Properties Site Planning within the context of that item.
Madam Chair, this is Janet Guthrie. I just wanted to mention that in the request for board action, under recommendation, that's the language of the resolution. We no longer have a separate document that's called a draft resolution. It's under recommendation, which starts with transfer $750,000 from the county's capital projects fund balance to community and economic development to fund due diligence and other project implementation activities for the River's Edge Boys Totem Town site, ponds at Battle Creek redevelopment projects, and to assist in the disposition of 3454 Rice Street in Vadnais Heights. That's the recommendation.
And so the proposal, Madam Chair, to make it specific would be to change the recommendation language to say Maplewood Properties Site Planning, strike ponds at Battle Creek redevelopment projects, and I would assume also do the same throughout the explanation of the rest of the request for board action for consistency purposes.
Thank you. That is my understanding, Madam Chair, that wherever it says ponds at Battle Creek, it would be changed to the, I think it's South Maplewood Property Site Planning, or whatever Ryan just said. So wherever it's stated, it would just simply move that. It would change that.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the completion of the statement of that amendment. And so we've had the amendment. We've heard the amendment restated. There is a second. Is there any additional discussion on the amendment?
Madam Chair, who seconded this amendment motion?
That would have been Commissioner Ortega. Is that correct?
I think that was to move. I'm sorry. I don't think we have a second for the amendment.
Mattis Castillo seconded.
Thank you, Mattis Castillo, Commissioner Mattis Castillo. So we have Commissioner Reinhardt and Commissioner Mattis Castillo. Thank you for asking. So there is a motion and a second, and we are in discussion on the amendment. There is no further discussion. I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll on the amendment.
Fretham?
Aye.
Mattis Castillo?
Aye.
McDonough?
Aye.
McGuire?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
Carter?
Aye. That motion has passed, and thank you very much for helping us to clarify our intent within the content of this item. We are now back to the main motion on item number 4. We're voting on the item now as amended.
And Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
Commissioner McGuire, just to clarify that Commissioner Reinhardt did not second that original motion, just so that you remember that she did not second that. So I believe Commissioner Ortega said he seconded that then.
Okay.
So just so that the record reflects that this was not a second by Commissioner Reinhardt on this main motion now.
Thank you very much. And I know that our clerk has heard that. Okay. I saw Commissioner Ortega. That's where I saw him. Thank you very much. I'm thankful that we also had voted that the clerk would be able to change these or make corrections as this. I believe it was last week. So we are voting now on the main motion, which is number 4 on our administrative items. Any additional comment, Commissioner Fretham?
Thank you, Chair Carter. I'm just, I like that we're bundling, noting that we're looking at a lot of redevelopment and working through our economic inclusion plan as well. And I think this ties together. I know one thing I've raised with the county manager is a real lack of comprehensive open space planning in Ramsey County, that an understanding of what open spaces exist, and can we be more comprehensive in understanding how we plan to maintain and commit spaces for open space. I think at the same time, thinking through as we take on a bigger portfolio of redevelopment projects and we are becoming more active especially in the housing sphere, how a comprehensive redevelopment approach and articulation of those thoughts could work together with open space planning. I think one of the things we run into is every time we identify a parcel that would be good for redevelopment, there are folks that want to make it a piece of our open space network. So without a comprehensive identified approach to either of them, I think we get into these battles. So I'm just wondering, I know the county manager and I have talked about whether a comprehensive open space plan could be part of the 21st Century Parks work. Potentially a redevelopment plan could be part of our economic inclusion plan. I'm just wondering if you could speak to that as this work that we're doing in the community and economic development team continues to grow and become a larger part of our work. What can be done to more clearly articulate our goals in this work and ensure that we're not just adding one-off projects, but this is part of a larger comprehensive, articulated vision?
Thank you very much for that. And certainly as we are in our service team format and able to discuss more comprehensively at a higher level the work that we are doing that engages and connects Parks and Recs, economic development, as it connects to all of the service areas as well, it is important that we are able to raise to that level. I'm going to check and make certain that we hear from the county manager as to how we are doing that and what we can expect as we look forward to the coming months.
Thank you.
Call first on County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioner Fretham. I would only add one other layer to that. I know we've talked about that some too, which is the layer, obviously, that the open space policy resides in the charter. And so we need to consider implications from that holistic perspective that include that. that dynamic as well. I think the big part you landed on at the end that is important from a process perspective is its integration into a 21st century parks vision. That work, like much else this year, got slowed but not stopped by COVID-19 as Parks turned its attention to just trying to figure out all the governor's executive orders and what could and couldn't stay open and how it could operate safely under the best public health guidelines. I'm excited to point out that tomorrow on our website, if you go look at the calendar, we have our first 21st century parks community dialogue town hall specific to this topic. And so as we begin the conversation around a 21st century parks vision tomorrow and carry it forward in the months ahead and have opportunities to talk with the board, the open space policy can absolutely be a component of that dialogue. The only thing I would say in relation to today is that CED, Community Economic Development, does have one component of that open space conversation. I think it's more broadly an economic growth, community investment conversation due to the ties, obviously, as I mentioned, to Parks and Rec as well.
Madam Chair,
go ahead,
according to the News and Community, the 21st Century Parks Vision Town Hall is today from 5 to 6:30. Tomorrow night, it is the South Maplewood Property Redevelopment Community Engagement.
Apologies.
Thank you very much.
I just want to make sure that we don't, if people want to be part of this tonight, we need to, either this is wrong or what you stated was not correct.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Reinhardt, I was incorrect. I apologize. I should know that yesterday was my mom's birthday, and I did call her, I promise. So let me restate that. Tonight is the 21st Century Parks kickoff. Tomorrow is the Maplewood South Properties continued community dialogue, and I apologize for that confusion on my end.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Commissioner Reinhardt for the correction, and also thank Commissioner Fretham for noting that with these bundled projects, it reminds us of the connection. Everything is connected to everything. So raising that to the higher level is important. I believe that we've had the discussion here on item number 4. I see no further questions, and we are ready for the vote. So I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Fretham?
Aye.
Matas Castillo?
Aye.
McDonough?
Aye.
McGuire?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
Carter?
Aye, thank you very much, and that completes our administrative agenda. We are going to move on to legislative update. I will call on Commissioner McGuire for that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that, and I want to, as always, thank our government relations staff, Jenna Rourke and Melissa Finnegan, for just doing amazing work. They're actually just finished hearing the briefing on the governor's release on his budget, and we just got breaking news about that. So I will I'll share that with you. But and also to thank the Vice Chair and my co-chair, Commissioner Matas Castillo. As I've said before, we continue to meet weekly, if not even more often, and to just go over all of the legislative issues that are happening quite rapidly, and just the hope we have in our budgeting process that we're going to be able to get what we need with our legislative delegation. So I'll start by saying that today the governor is announcing his budget for the next biennium, and there's a briefing at 10, which we just heard that the governor's budget does not include cuts or increases to our county program aid or our local government aid. So that's good. Good news. We wanted an increase, of course, in our county program aid, but the fact that they're not cutting it is good news. So we'll continue to get more information on that as he releases that, as the governor releases that budget. But we are paying attention to COVID funds for public health, as we've been talking about, food security, housing and homelessness, mental health and transportation. We're going to be watching the budget for, of course, so many items that we rely on for the state support for. On a couple of other notes here, we will have a request for board action next week that signals Ramsey County's support for Regions Hospital request to add bed capacity for the East Metro. So we're grateful for that, and grateful to Commissioner McDonough and others who brought that to us early enough so we could have an RBA, in time for next week. We're also working on a letter of support with the City of St. Paul to lend support to a budgeting initiative of Governor Walz that would create a statewide fund to deal with civil unrest, similar to one set in law now that deals with natural disasters. So we'll be looking for that. And as we've been talking about with the new administration at the federal level, we're hopeful for some good news coming out of that. We're monitoring everything that's coming out of the Biden-Harris administration, and especially the work they're doing around COVID relief. So there's a lot of good work being done that lines up with our values. For example, today's executive orders will focus on racial equity work. So we can be watching the news for that. So we're very excited that we have a federal administration that's in greater alignment with our values. So with that, and there's also a more detailed report that you were all sent about what's going on. Basically, the committees are doing overviews, and I know that a number of us have been on the list to testify last week and this week. So I don't know, Madam Chair, if anyone wants to speak on what they've been talking about. I know Commissioner Manis-Castillo spoke. I know Commissioner McDonough is going to speak this week. Commissioner Reinhardt was going to speak, and they ran out of time before she could speak on the clean energy standard. But if anyone else wants to talk about the work that they're doing, I welcome that, them to speak now. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair? I didn't raise my virtual hand.
Please go ahead.
I raised my regular hand.
Gotcha. Go for it.
Okay. Yes, there were 32 people signed up on the clean energy standard, and I was 31. So they got down to the last 5. But I will be speaking on this Thursday, I believe it is. Anyhow, and really the clean energy standards are something that are very, very important to climate change and to the things that we really need within our state and our county and the world. And so the carbon footprint and changing that is so important to move forward. The issue that we have as a county is the fact that we need to have that transition time to transition from burning garbage to recycling to gasification that is carbon-free and to composting, anaerobic digestion. There are so many technologies, and as we know, our county board, along with Washington County and our Recycling and Energy Center is really committed to that. But if they don't allow that to continue so that we can make that transition to something that is carbon-free, that will be very difficult because the only alternative, of course, is landfills, which has a huge impact on our air and our water from the leachate. The recyclables have been no value because they've been buried, and we don't really have the space to do it anyway. So it's kind of a fine line because I know that we are, and I know that I am supportive of what we are trying to do for climate change. Just help us, actually, not only give us the time, but help us make that transition, because after all, it was the state of Minnesota that put this into place, that we must deal with the garbage and how we must deal with it, and the standards that we have. And we have been, I think Ramsey and Washington counties and Hennepin County have been exemplary in trying to implement what is in state statute, including the 75% recycling goal. I mean, that's what we're investing in. And so we just need to not only allow for that time, but quite frankly, we need them to put their money where their mouth is. You expect us to do this. We want to do it, but it costs money. And granted, we just this morning passed the bonding for the Recycling and Energy Center. We've got a project there that we asked for $22 million. We got 7. We're very grateful for getting 7, but the fact is it's over a $40 million project, and that's going to pull out recyclables. It's going to pull out the compostables with durable compostable food waste, the bags for those. There's so much that we are doing, and we're working on the RFP for other technologies that will deal with the rest of it, but it's still coming into that facility. So I'm not going to be asking them for money at that point, probably. I don't know, it might sneak out. But what we're really trying to say is work with us, because we do care about this and we want to make this happen. You put in mandates, we followed them. Please don't make us go backwards, because going backwards means we put it into a landfill. And that's not what we can do, because I know zero waste is a laudable goal as well. But I also think we need to be realistic about the fact that there are certain things that will not be able to be recycled or reused, and packaging. There's still going to be the need for packaging of some things and how we deal with that. So that's a bigger picture, but I just wanted you to know what it is about, because it's something, again, the goal is very important, but we need the state to work with us on the issue of waste management and moving waste up that hierarchy, which we are very committed to. Thank you.
And I want to say thank you in your comments regarding this issue. I know that you were as well stated then as you are today. Thank you for that update and for representing us in that manner. I do see Commissioner McGuire again.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just to give a little kudos in there, they can speak on it more detail next time or whatever, but Commissioner Matas-Castillo did speak on behalf of counties in the Housing Committee, and Commissioner McDonough has been asked to speak to the new committee on behavioral health on mental health inpatient bed capacity this week. So just to give kudos to all of you, all of our colleagues here on this board who are continually called on at the legislature to speak on the issues that we have great knowledge on. So thanks to all of you for your work on behalf of counties and our county. Thanks.
And I appreciate your representing all of that holistically as well, Commissioner McGuire. Thank you to Commissioner Matas-Castillo for her work on the legislative team together with you, and to Commissioner McDonough for the upcoming testimony, to all of you for being there. I could go through every name here. And thank you for your work in specific areas and together comprehensively against our entire agenda.
Yes. Yeah, Madam Chair, I just want to say this is probably one week that you're not testifying. You may have, we just didn't notice it, but you're usually testifying, Madam Chair.
And thank you very much. So yes, we'll move on then to County Connections, and I'm back. Were you done? Chair? Yes. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I would really like to hear from Commissioner McDonough and Commissioner Matas-Castillo, because this is, we're testifying up at the Capitol, but this is the opportunity for people within Ramsey County to hear what the arguments are that we are making. And I think it's an important thing to do.
Well, I can certainly drag them out for brief comments right now. Commissioner Matas-Castillo for her work this past week, Commissioner McDonough for his. Clearly, we will have his work upcoming. We will have the opportunity to hear more about this, because these are important areas of our work. So dissertation is not required at this time, but if you would just make a few comments regarding the work that you have or will be testifying on. Commissioner Matas-Castillo.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. I was able to testify in Representative Hausman's Housing Committee in the House. That's a lot of houses. Really to share the need for statewide investment, both into shelter to accommodate our homeless population and folks who are experiencing homelessness, but really that long-term investment into affordable housing and that partnership. And so I presented along with the Association of Minnesota Counties to really talk about that need for statewide investment. I heard the Coalition for the Homeless motto this year, which I think is a great one, is that shelter saves lives and housing ends homelessness. And it truly was the spirit of the testimony, is that we need support in both areas, because we do know we have a large population that's experiencing homelessness, that we need to have money and dollars. As we know, we have invested greatly this year, but that resource will run out if not for more investment. There is a proposal from the Coalition of the Homeless coming forward to do some shelter infrastructure bonds, because we know we need more shelters, not just in the metro area, but statewide, so that people who are experiencing homelessness in other areas of the state can stay in the community in which they already have connections and resources, but to receive the services they need, so that homelessness can be a brief experience if it happens at all. And then to go, of course, upstream to invest in the long-term affordable housing. It takes time to build, it takes time to produce, and so we need both ends and funding for both. So it was a good testimony. Representative Hausman has got several bills and support in which we are supporting as well, for our legislative agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Manis-Castillo, for allowing us to drag you out. And, quite frankly, the work that we are doing on the housing continuum is so broad, and so often we're talking about just homelessness and not the affordable housing piece, and we're realizing how much it all goes together. Thank you for adding to the team. I'm calling on Commissioner McDonough next to share thoughts about the upcoming testimony, but also realizing the work that you, Commissioner McDonough, have been doing in this area as well. Should you have comments to add, we welcome those. Thank you. Commissioner McDonough.
Chair Carter, real brief, and the committee's meeting tomorrow at 8:30. Representative Fisher's chairing this. This is a new committee. Certainly feel free to tune in. I'm working with Ann Berry and the team here about what we'll highlight tomorrow during my opportunity. As you know, mental health is just such a broad spectrum, and the impact it has in our community, whether it's, in our jails, whether it's in our homeless population. And the solutions to those are so varied, and the continuum there's gaps all along that continuum. So I'm looking to Ann and her team to really kind of focus in on what we'll highlight tomorrow. I will find that out later today, but we could focus in on so many areas there. But the bigger conversation, and this is a piece I know I will touch on, is, and it's like the homeless situation. Trista talked about, shelter versus housing. We continue time after time to be focused in on the crises in our community. And until we really are able to invest and get ahead of this, right, and recognize mental health just doesn't appear. Sometimes it does, certainly. Schizophrenia is no different than someone, taking on diabetes. But we also have to recognize the trauma that occurs in our community with the inequities and the day-to-day surviving of folks in our community, and what that does to individuals and the impact it has on them, and then that impact it has on our community. And until we really start peeling back those layers and really addressing the equity issues, the racism in our community, and really addressing the trauma that so many of our residents go through, that put us in this precarious spot of having to invest in crisis versus invest in support and invest in our future. So I'll talk a little bit about that, but Ann will certainly help me focus in on what areas we want to elevate in Representative Fisher's committee tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, a demonstration of how so much of everything we do is connected to everything else that we do, and the importance of advocating for that full perspective and the comprehensive work that is needed. Thank you for your representation, all of us. Back then to our agenda, I'm going to start with our updates, and I will be calling on, in alphabetical order, Commissioner Manis-Castillo first, and finishing up back at the top of the alphabet with Commissioner Preffen. So we are moving on then to Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I did not call because we were interrupted on our county manager for county connections. We make sure to do that before we move to our updates. And so I will call on County Manager O'Connor and then our updates quickly as we move forward toward our workshop this, after this meeting. County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, today will be Public Works County Connections, I think, based on our topics. Just a few brief updates. I wanted to share that the Minnesota County Engineers Association at their annual conference last week awarded and recognized Ramsey County for 2 pieces of work. They were given, we received Project of the Year, an award for Project of the Year for the I-694 Rice Street Reconstruction Project. And we were given the Highway Safety Achievement Award for the 4 to 3 lane conversion study that we have been in continued dialogue with and have plans to continue dialogue with the county board in the months ahead. Congratulations on both fronts to Public Works. Then I just wanted to share that in one of the neat pieces of work that comes up day to day, we had a Boy Scout reach out seeking to do some work around a Citizenship in the Community Merit Badge, asking questions about pedestrian safety and work that the community can do. And I'm just going to call out our Public Works Director, Ted Schenecker, for taking the opportunity to engage with a young person in that person's pursuit of civic engagement and trying to make his community better. And Ted took the time to share a long and thoughtful response with that Boy Scout that hopefully sets him on a long journey that ends with him someday working for Ramsey County. So thanks to Ted specifically and the ongoing work to engage with every resident who reaches out with an interest in our work and making a better community. That's all I have for today, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Again, much throughout our agenda to celebrate. We're very, very thankful for the recognition that simply is about the great work that is in process in Ramsey County, and also thankful to county leaders who at every opportunity will make themselves available to young people in our community, and we will see them here. Thank you. And now we are going to move on then to our county board and committee reports and updates. Let me turn to first Commissioner Modis Castillo.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'll continue on the Scout theme. I had the opportunity to meet with the Daisy Scouts this week, a group of 7-year-old girls who were working as well on their government engagement award. And I will tell you, our future is looking really bright and in good hands. They were really remarkable with great questions and great ambitions to engage with government. They were very excited to hear the work that we do as county commissioners, so it was really lovely. Also, last night I had the opportunity to attend and participate in our Community Advisory Council's annual meeting. They were hosting a discussion with about 80 folks who were engaged around our advisory councils in mental health, chemical health, developmental disabilities, and such, on how they can become more effective and engage in a more equitable way and make sure they round out their community. I heard a lot of really positive feedback of a look towards the future and what that might look like to engage in our current structure. As you know, those were formed long before we had service teams. And so there's kind of a mismatch. And so there's frustration from the community is that it takes so long to have impact when things need to be more nimble. And I think as we look forward to the future of how we can maybe shift or think about that in a service team model and connect them right into the decision maker, it's going to be really helpful. And I heard that feedback from the community as well, because they have important things to say from a lived experience, from provider experience, to really connect and how we deliver our services with them. Also, I just want to make sure we had the joint property tax meeting yesterday and heard an update from the school board and from the city of St. Paul, and there are shared goals around the idea of housing, so going back to housing. And so coming out of that meeting, we will reconvene our policy action group subcommittee on homelessness and and take some look in how do we work together collectively with the legislature and with the news coming out of President Biden's administration on housing and what that looks like for our community and where we might align and work together, because, you know, stable housing is really important for all of our community, to include our students and their success. And so working collaboratively in that way is going to be really important for all of us. And with that, Madam Chair, I will stand.
And thank you very, very much, Commissioner Metis Castillo. Commissioner McDonough.
Thanks, Madam Chair. No report today.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple things here. Just give a shout out to our racial equity team, our research team, who had their great town hall meeting last Tuesday. It feels like a long time ago now, but it was since our last board meeting, and I sat in on that town hall meeting with where people were talking about racial equity, and it was a really good one. As always, those town hall meetings have been very productive, I think. So thanks to them. Also, Transportation Advisory Board had our organizing meeting, so lots of work ahead. We did get $51 million in CARES dollars for work, and 18.5, I think, in the area of transit. So we're going to be talking about how we can allocate those dollars. Also, a lot of community meetings. Our school district, the Roseville Area School District, our superintendent gets together, gathers all of the local elected officials. It's such a great meeting with city, school district, county, and legislators, and we all get to catch up. I just want to give a shout out to Superintendent Aldo Sicoli for having those meetings. I had a great conversation with AMC and Congresswoman Angie Craig. It's always great to talk to our congressional reps who are so in line with what we want to see done. They're so in line with our values. We met with Congresswoman McCollum a couple weeks ago, as we all know, and then this meeting with Congresswoman Craig. She is just so on board with making sure that they have flexible funds, that it goes to local units of government, and that we get to have a longer time frame to spend it. So it was a great meeting. Also, the League of Women Voters had a conversation with constituents, which many of us were on, and that's always a great conversation. And I want to recognize the Prenatal to 3 Forum. They have quarterly meetings. Representative Pinto co-chairs that, and with the Elders for Infants, and just to thank them for all their work. And I know they're going to be aligned with a lot of the work that Ramsey County is doing on our Prenatal to 3 work. So we'll just keep you posted on how that work can help inform ours, so that we're all helping each other with the work that needs to be done in that area. So with that, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll go on to Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week we had a meeting with Mayor Tim Bussey of Bloomington and Commissioner Deb Gotel from Hennepin County and related staff. We met to pick members for the Community Advisory Committee for the Riverview Corridor from the western side. And it was a very good meeting, very productive, and a lot of enthusiasm by Mayor Tim Bussey of Bloomington for this project. He served on the previous phase of this when he was on the City Council, and he's a real big champion of the Riverview Corridor. So it was a very productive meeting, and we moved forward. So now, in the following week, we are now going to meet with St. Paul side to pick members for that advisory committee from our side here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, a number of the meetings that I went to have already been covered. I do want to highlight, though, the town hall that we had on racial equity that Commissioner McGuire and I were able to be on. I don't think other commissioners were on it, but regardless, there are so many things that we can go into right now. But it was so well done, and the hour and a half, I think it was. It went so fast, and there was so much valuable information that came forward. We are really blessed to have the staff that we have leading those efforts and running the town hall. Prince Corbett does a fantastic job. Other than that, a lot of my work has been in the environmental field, the Clean Water Council, the Policy Committee, some of the things that are happening at the legislature. Our legislature is really, and governor are really forward thinking when it comes to the environment and climate change. And there are a number of positions that the Clean Water Council has taken that we will be able to represent the breadth of that gubernatorial appointment board to support things like oversalting and you know, the little things that add up to the big things, I guess, for the environment. And then I'm not sure when we're going to have our next rail authority meeting, but we did have the Rush Line Policy Advisory Committee, and there's so much happening right now. And I guess I would just, you know, I'll wait for a fuller update at the next rail authority meeting. But I would encourage people to go to the website, look at what's happening, because it's very dynamic right now. And I think people would like to see what's happening there. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you, Chair Carter. Was a busy week for first meetings of 2021. Got to join my colleagues on the GIVTech meeting, as well as the Roseville Area Schools meeting and the League of Women Voters event. We also had the first CAP-RW meeting of the year and the first Metro Alliance for Healthy Families meeting of the year. Getting to hear about how those organizations managed to continue their work with families and children despite the pandemic. So that's exciting. I also had the opportunity to join in the first ever virtual AMC County 101 conference for new county commissioners. So have a chance to interact with other newer county commissioners across the state and get some additional in-depth training. So really appreciate AMC making that happen this year in a safe way. And again, I just want to say my personal thanks to Jenica, our Public Works Director, for his really great response to our Boy Scout Tony on his questions about a crosswalk that is in Commissioner Reinhardt's district, that White Bear Township, White Bear Lake merge there. And then finally, continued work on our child care subcommittee, and want to note for everyone that tomorrow is NACO's Counties for Kids Day. So lots of information that NACO is putting out on the ways that counties, the important role that we play in early childhood education. So be sure to check that out. We'll be sharing some info as well. And this really aligns well with our efforts on the child care subcommittee. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much as well. So I will just share a couple of things. It's interesting, you ended on a note, Commissioner Fretham, that makes me want to pick up on that and to share that NACO will be having an upcoming Youth Month. And we've heard a lot in this conversation today at our board meeting about connecting to youth and the importance of investing in our generations, beginning with our very youngest and through actually age 24, as we know about brain development, and that in fact we have to ensure those investments all along that youth continuum and together with families. So we will want to pay special note as we look toward the Youth Month and find the ways in which we can clarify those connections that we are able to make during that time period, one of which may be that NACO has an arts contest. And it would be exciting to be able to reach out and in that way that is formatted through NACO, be able to connect to young people in our community who will be sharing their thoughts about, go figure, county government. So we'll take a look into that, connect with staff to see where that may fit, and hopefully we'll hear more about that. I was able to participate in a number of things this past week. I'll highlight a few, one of which was sharing with the Association of Minnesota Counties and the Minnesota Association of Social Services Administrators in the preparation to receive the new Department of Human Services budget that will be coming forward today along with the governor's budget. And so we will be meeting, and we have been over the past couple of months, together with DHS to hear from the commissioner, to respond to the commissioner and the governor's budget, and to reflect on it based on a set of principles that have been worked on over these past couple of months by AMC representatives and also MAXA representatives. Those are principles that I shared with our social services and financial services directors, as well as with our health and wellness deputy county managers, so that we can be thoughtful in participating as we reflect on that budget. Unfortunately, it's not setting the budget, but there are ways in which we can share back with the department as the department is asking for that more connected relationship and work of even aligning budget considerations with county input and participation. So it was hard to catch up with the budget process this year in that way, but certainly we're looking forward to continuing to make that connection. A second set of meetings that I've been participating in and did this week is with the consideration of planning for potential redesign of our human services arena in the state, as that continues to be a conversation. It always comes up, of course, during these times when we have potential budget deficits. There may be a little bit of pressure taken off this coming year, but there never will be totally. We will continue to work in that regard as we think through how to plan and make the work happen in that potential redesign. I also was able to attend a community justice coordinating, why do I always do that? It's criminal justice coordinating committee meeting. That's the title. I always think community justice coordinating committee. In any case, I was at that meeting yesterday. It was a good opportunity to reflect on the justice system's transformation pieces that are in process. We heard updates, for example, on bail reform that is in process, and also Healing Streets Project. We were able to welcome Danny Gibbons, who is now the new director of the Transforming Systems Together work, and so can align very much with this work. And we talked about the engagement, or the more aligned engagement of community and of this work with community values and directly with individuals in our community, particularly those most impacted. I want to thank Zach Hilton for bringing that conversation forward, knowing that it was not a finished conversation or decisions were not made as to how that connection will be more firmly made in coming months, but we are deep into the discussion and anticipate a next discussion in which we will be able to take that more forward. I also participated in new employee orientation yesterday, and that's always a great time to be able to welcome new people who have selected Ramsey County and to just cheer them on and give them inspiration for the work that they are about to do together with us, and also note the challenges of their joining this team, which is doing exemplary work, and will also be challenged to welcome them in with their talents, their energies, and their potential for leadership wherever they are. So just welcome to those new employees, and I'm very thankful that our human resources team and county leadership are continuing in these traditions, albeit we are in COVID-19, and redesigning ways in which we are able to welcome new employees. I also participated in just putting a videotape message together for our County Years of Service program, which will recognize individuals in our county employee community for their multiple years of service, and also retirees. So that those two were an opportunity for me to share perspectives on the work that has happened this past year, and actually to celebrate, as I shared with them, that we have such a solid foundation in the work that we have done to create that vision, so we know where we're going, and to embody our mission and our strategic priorities based on the values of us here in Ramsey County, together as board members with our excellent leadership team and with our community moving forward together. Such a great foundation that really at the start of COVID, although we were all in shock, we knew what to do. We knew what we needed to do, embrace those values and focus on our vision and continue to do that work according to our mission and the strategic priorities that we had already aligned. And it helped, I think, so very much to bolster the work during COVID-19, to support people where they are, and to look forward to our continuing to build that vibrant community where all are valued and thrive as we build back better together. So I was thankful to be able to share in both those two settings, and just wanted to share back with you, the reflection that we really are on a good and firm foundation. We continue to build onto that and look forward to that work continuing into the many years forward. So looking back at my agenda, thank you for allowing me to share those places and opportunities I've been able to participate in. I think that we are at a point now where we are about to close out our meeting, but I do want to mention that we have a workshop coming up at 11:30. We have a separate link for it. It is a workshop in which we will be focused on our strategic planning and have an opportunity to affirm the work that we're doing, to hear updates on those strategic priorities, to look forward even more concretely to the future. It's an opportunity for us to spend good time together as a board, beginning at 11:30. Let me just check.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I think it's at 11, which is just a couple minutes from now, so.
I'm sorry. Can I have that confirmed? Because I actually did have 11:30 on my notes here. And so,
Madam
documentation says 11 to 3.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for making sure that that was correct. Can I just check back with the county manager?
Madam Chair, that is correct, that originally we were scheduled to start tentatively at 11 o'clock. However, I would request 10 minutes to technologically set everything up and physically move, if that would be amenable to you.
I thank you very much. And I am looking back. I see the note that was sent by Abby, and it is 11 o'clock. And so we are on that 11 o'clock hour. Let's take a 15-minute break and let's start.
The posted agenda says 11:30. Is that a problem for notice requirements?
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. So let me just make certain we're doing what we need to do here.
Madam Chair, let me go to the chief. Let me go to the chief clerk of the board really quickly to help clarify. Apologies.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Commissioner Fretham is correct. I believe she was the one that pointed out that what has been posted is 11:30. And so, yes, you would need to refrain from starting the meeting until 11:30.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks. Sometimes I think I'm crazy because I saw something somewhere, but I appreciate knowing that we do have that on our site. We need to make sure we honor that. Thank you to all of you who have confirmed what we need to do today, and that is stick to our posted agenda. We will convene via Zoom link at 11:30. If there are no further comments, questions, we are going to then adjourn our meeting, our board meeting today. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.